Emmett Kelly was born in Sedan, Kansas, on December 9, 1898. His father, Thomas, worked on the railroad and his mother, Molly, ran a boarding house. His family moved to near Houston, Missouri, where his father bought a farm. As a youth, his mother saved up to enroll Emmett in art classes. He later moved to Kansas City in hopes of becoming a cartoon artist. He would eventually start working in circuses and trained as a trapeze artist. In July of 1921, Emmett appeared as a hobo clown in the Howe's Great London Circus. It was that clown that made Emmett famous. Weary Willie the Hobo was born. In 1922, Emmett was hired to perform his trapeze act with the John Robinson Circus. It was there he met his wife, Mitzi. They married in Charlottesville, Virginia in 1923 and began performing together with a trapeze act. The John Robinson Circus would close in 1930 during the Great Depression. It was during this time the Kellys moved between circuses owned by the Ringling Brothers, and on April 21, 1933, the hobo clown Weary Willie made his debut in Chicago at the Chicago Coliseum. The circus life was hard on their marriage. Emmett and Mitzi divorced in 1935. During the 1937 season, Emmett went to perform in London and started to perform a skit where he would sweep the spotlight under a rug. That act became his signature routine. Emmett performed his act on Broadway during the musical Keep Off the Grass, which starred Jimmy Durante, and a new up-and-coming star, Jackie Gleason, who was also making his debut on Broadway. The show closed after only 44 runs, and Emmett's clown act was said to be the best thing about the show. In 1942, Emmett joined Ringling Brothers and performed for them for 14 years. July 6, 1944, disaster struck. While Ringling Brothers were performing in Hartford, Connecticut, a fire broke out under the Big Top. Over 160 people lost their life. During the fire, Emmett was photographed carrying a bucket of water while trying to help put out the fire. That photograph was published in the Life magazine July 17, 1944 edition. In 1949, Emmett would leave the circus for Hollywood. He would perform in movies including The Fat Man and The Greatest Show on Earth, and on TV including Playhouse 90, The Ed Sullivan Show, and General Electric Theater. In 1955, Emmett married Evi Gebhardt. She was only 21 years old and was part of a tumbling act called The Four Whirlwinds. In 1956, Weary Willie would be on the TV show What's My Line? The panelists had to put on blindfolds because his character was so well known. He could only moan his answers to questions by the panelists. It didn't take long to guess who he was. In 1957, Weary Willie became the mascot for the Brooklyn Dodgers. After the 1957 season, Emmett would return to Hollywood, but the circus came calling again. He would perform in New Jersey with the Clyde Beatty Circus, and in 1958, he would perform in the Christiani Brothers Circus in Philadelphia and Chicago. In 1958, he was hired by a new amusement park in Santa Monica and became their vice president in charge of fun. In 1962, Emmett would begin a 15-year run with Harrah's in Lake Tahoe to play in their South Shore room with stars such as Red Skelton, Sammy Davis Jr., Lawrence Welk, and many others. It was here that Emmett would establish long and lasting friendships. Emmett Kelly would never really retire. He lived in Sarasota, Florida, and that's where on March 28, 1979, he suffered a heart attack in his front yard and died. He always loved Lafayette, Indiana. That is where his sister, Sylvia Smith, lived. He would often visit her and claim Lafayette as his home. So that is where Emmett Kelly, the world-famous clown, was buried next to his mother and sister. He was survived by his wife, his sons Emmett Jr. and Patrick, and two daughters Stasia and Monica. Emmett Kelly Jr. would follow in his father's footsteps and would become a famous clown in his own right.